So this is supposed to be installment number 5 of the Young and Christian Struggle series. And this is going to be about inconsistency. Okay, so just to be honest, like, I've been struggling with inconsistency for a very long time, and I feel like it's the Christian's enemy, inconsistency, right? Because, like, you can start out good, and you can start out with the fire. You can start out like, yes, we about to do this, we about to praise God and everything, and due to the fact that you're inconsistent, eventually it just burns out, and you're just there like, okay. So my school year is finally about to end, and basically that's been me all year. Like, I don't like this up and down thing. I don't know if you guys can sympathize with me or like understand what I'm saying. Like, that moment when you're good with God and then you're not good with him. And when I say not good, I don't mean like you're slipping into sin, and now I'm talking about you're good with your communication with God. You're praying, you're reading, you're communicating, you're just rocking with God, and then the next second it's like you're not doing that much, and then you start to feel less and less of his presence because you're not reading as much, you're not praying as much, you're not communicating as much. Instead of feeding your spirit what it needs, you start to feed your spirit all other stuff. Like us being like college students and students in general, we start to feed ourselves the knowledge of the world instead of the knowledge of the word, right? And so you're focusing on this finals and this test and waking up to go to school and all this stuff, and it's school, but it's like, what about God, right? And so all it takes is that one good Sunday service to get you back up, but then you come right back down to that decline again because you're inconsistent. And it's a cycle of, God, I feel you, God, I don't. God, I feel you, God, I don't. And so I hate that. Like, that's what happened to me throughout the whole school year, because it's just like, it's kind of hard at times. Even like, I would do this. I would tell myself I'm gonna wake up at 6 o'clock every morning so I could pray, right? Because God directed me to do that. Girl, when I tell you, try to get me to wake up at 6 o'clock and stay up, nothing, right? And so the sacrifices that I used to make, I started to make them less and less. Like waking up early in the morning, I stopped doing that, and I just got lazy and I got passive. So when we start being inconsistent, we start to feel less of his presence, we start to feel less of him, and we start to become more passive, like, oh, it's okay. And then when you try to come back to him, when you try to come back to that cycle of reading his word, when you try to feel his presence again, the fact that you done spent so much time away from him, it makes you feel so uneasy at that point, because it's like, I don't want to live this life without feeling your presence. And now I'm trying to find your presence, and it feels like you're hiding from me. But in reality, it's not like he's been hiding from you. It's like you've walked so far away from him. And you don't have to necessarily sin to do that. It's just a lack of time being spent with the Lord. You're allowing yourself to separate from him. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to be consistent in this thing. We can't let school or job or anything like that interfere with our walk with the Lord, because once it starts to interfere, then your whole day starts to get messed up. Wake up one day and don't pray. And like, that'd be me. Like, sometimes I wake up and then I acknowledge him, but I wouldn't pray because I woke up at like 8, and then class starts at 10, and I gotta get ready and I gotta go to class, and I know I should have woken up at 6 so that I could do my daily study, but I didn't. And so now I gotta rush to class, not even pray. The day is not gonna be the same as if you did do what you were supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like me, like little things would aggravate me. Like, I shouldn't be this angry, but it's because I haven't been spending as much time as I used to. I remember last summer is when I got my life straight with God. Man, I was spending every single waking day with God. Like, in my room, in my parents' room, just by myself with God. And it was amazing because it's like he was there the whole time and you felt his presence. He was there when nobody else was there. And so you have somebody who's been there for you, right? But then you're so willing to like just slack on the relationship as if it's not a two-way thing. It's not like we're sitting here, we're communicating, we're communing with God just so that we can feel good, just so that we can feel nice, just so that, you know, we can do the right things. But it's like he wants to hear from you too. It's not all about you. And I had to come to the conclusion that it's not all about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes when we're doing these stuff and we're communicating with God, we think, oh, I just want to feel his presence. Oh, I just want to be close to him. But he wants to be close to you too. And so if you sit there and you don't communicate with him for days at a time, and then you come back and try to do it again, I don't know about you, but if I was God, I'd kind of be like, so where have you been? Right? And so that's how I be feeling, and it's not a good feeling. When you come back and you try to like pick it back up again, and you know that you've been gone for a while, you know you haven't been communicating as you should for a while, and you try to pick it back up, it's not a good feeling, because it's like I'm looking for you and I can't feel you as much as I used to. I can't hear you as much as I used to, because in his presence you find clarity. I can't feel that. I can't find that clarity, and I'm sitting here like, God, forgive me for my absence. Like, forgive me for my absence. Don't do this to your girl. Jesus, come back. It's terrible. And I found myself having to lay on my bed and do the same thing over and over again. Pray the same prayer. Like, God, I'm sorry, I'm back. God, I'm sorry for the absence. You know, I'm sorry, you know, I'm back. You know, here I am praying again. Here I am reading again. You know I used to do it consistently, but I stopped. But now I'm back. Please refill me with your presence. And it's so draining, and it's so sad for me, because it's like, I don't like this feeling that I'm far from God. I don't like feeling that. And it's like, so the inconsistency in it is that you know what you're supposed to do to keep the consistent communication, keep the spirit flowing and everything like that. But sometimes you feel like doing it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're too lazy, sometimes you're not. You know you're supposed to wake up early, but you rather let sleep take you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the inconsistency, like, it's just not good for your relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? Because if we had to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, we'd be up at 5. But knowing that we got to go to class at 10, we can't get ourselves to get up at 6 to spend time with God. You know what I'm saying? And then we come back and we think everything's going to be okay. But at the same time, it's like, it's not all about you. He wanted to hear from you too. And so we got to make time for God. If you're going to school, you know you got to catch that bus at 6. Wake up at 5, you know, or go to sleep late. Do what you have to do to keep a consistent communication with God. It's not, oh, once a revival happens or a holiday comes through, that's when you're great with God, and then eventually you start to dwindle out. No, you don't need to wait for a massive service. You shouldn't have to wait for a massive service to get your relationship with God back straight, right? It should be a consistent, everyday type of thing. And so I've been struggling with that throughout the school year, because I've been letting school and the responsibilities and all this stuff step into the way of what I'm supposed to do. And I tell you, my friend, it is not a good feeling when you try to come back, because it's not nice. And so I've just been dealing with it, and I know a lot of young people deal with it too, because we have stuff to do. We got to go to school. We spend most of our days in school, and we got work, and we got all this other stuff. But nonetheless, we have to make it in a way that God comes first. Like, he is the first person on your schedule, the first person, because at the end of the day, you can't live without him. And if you're a real Christian and you're walking with him, you will feel so terrible if you don't feel his presence. You'll feel terrible if you don't feel his spirit. You know what I'm saying? You just feel so strange, you know? And it's not just about you, like I said before. It's like, he wants to hear from you too. So we got to be considerate of that. It's a two-way relationship, you know? So yeah, that's what I've been struggling with so far. But it's May, school's out, and we just about to be kicking it. I'm still in that stage of trying to like get it back together, because I'm like, God, I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for my inconsistency. But it's a matter of discipline, actually, to be disciplined enough to be like, you know what, I'm waking up at 6 and I'm gonna stay up at 6. And we have to be disciplined so that we may be consistent. You know what I'm saying? Because something that's inconsistent doesn't necessarily grow. Like, you can't put a seed in the ground, you water it on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you forget about it. You come back next Monday, you water it, and you expect it to grow. Inconsistency is not, it doesn't yield growth. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta be consistent. And that's all. Till next time, God bless.